Hey there, and welcome to the very first episode of Aligned Choices. Very excited about it, where we will be unlocking decision making with human design. And you know me, I'm Nolitha. I am your human design tour guide, and I'm excited that you're here. If you've ever found yourself stuck in a whirlwind of options and overthinking every move or wondering if you'll ever make the right decision for your life, you're not alone. It happens to all of us. And let me tell you something very important. You're in the right place. I am here to help you. This podcast is all about helping you connect with your inner wisdom and uncover your unique way of making choice that actually feels good. Choices that bring you peace, ease, and a sense of yes, this is me. Yes, this is me. I hope that sounds good to you because it really sounded good to me when I began exploring human design. Whether it's deciding on a new career, figuring out what's next after your kids leave the house for you empty nesters, or even if you're just choosing what you want to have for dinner without stressing, I got you covered. Don't even worry about it. I got you covered. Okay, so let's talk about it. The problem. Why decision making feels so hard? Okay, so let's talk about something we all face every single day of our lives, and that is decisions. Big ones, small ones, life changing ones, and even ones that we agonize over way too long. Do I change jobs? Do I complain? Do I make it better? Like, what do I order at this restaurant? And I can't lie, I'm actually a part of a group where I have named us the field trip group, and we go to different restaurants and take field trips. Every time we go to the restaurant or anybody chooses a restaurant, it takes me a couple of days to mull over the menu and kind of decide what I want. So these are all decisions. Does any of this sound familiar? I'm sure it does, and I hope it does. But just to let you know, you're not alone in feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or like you're always second guessing yourself. You're not alone. Maybe you've been told just to follow your gut, or, but even then, if you follow your gut or you're conflicted, maybe you've tried a pros and cons list. I remember doing this very early on in my career, making a pros and cons list, and sometimes it made it worse. Or maybe you find yourself going along with what others expect of you, only to feel just a little bit emptier every time. The truth is, most of us weren't taught how to make decisions that actually align with who you are. Instead, we have been conditioned to prioritize, and my phone is going off. We've been conditioned to prioritize logic, what makes sense, what doesn't make sense. We're going to go from line A to line B. That was me. We make decisions in a straight line. What is practical? Or you make decisions on what is expected of you. Well, we've learned to tune out that little voice inside our head and say, this feels right. So, have you ever experienced the little voice in your head that says, wow, this feels right? This feels good. And if you have experienced it, I want to give you a solution that talks about human design that will help you to have that feeling more often. So, the good news is the answers you've been searching for to help you make decisions aren't somewhere out there. Yeah, you guys know I'm silly. They're already inside of you. That's where human design comes into place. And if you're not familiar with it, don't worry. I'm going to give you the low down, quick, dirty version in this episode. And we'll get into it a little more later on down the line. So, human design is a system that combines ancient wisdom. Think about astrology, I Ching, and chakras with a modern science to create a map of your unique energy blueprint. It's like having a personalized manual for how you were designed to thrive, from the way you were able to make decisions and how you interact with others. All this information is available in your blueprint. At the core of human design is something called your inner authority. And this is your built in decision making superpower. It's unique to you, and it is the key to unlock decisions that feels effortless, natural, and deeply aligned to who you are. Doesn't that sound good? All right. So, what can you expect in the series? This podcast is going to be your guide to mastering decision makings through the lens of human design. Here's what you can look forward to. We'll start off talking about the basics of human design and how it relates to your choices. We'll explore inner authorities from emotional to sacred to splendid. And some of you guys know because we've been working together and you already have your blueprint. Now, if you don't have your blueprint, don't worry about it. I'll give you a way that you can get it for free so that you'll have an idea where you are and just to see what resonates with you. We'll also talk about conditioning, and that is really how we get out of making decisions that don't align with us is to decondition. And you'll hear me say that a lot around things that we've picked up from society, things that we've picked up from our family that may not be serving us, as well as just our environment, how our environment has contributed to who we are and how we make decisions. So, in talking about the deconditioning or conditioning, we'll talk about those external influences, that pull you away from your true self and how you can break away from it. My goal is to make this practical and empowering because when you start making decisions that feel good to you, everything shifts. Everything shifts. You feel lighter, you feel more confident, and you feel more in control of your life. And who doesn't want that at all times? At all times. So, I know you've been wondering, no, Letha, why are you here? What? What's your story? How'd you get to this and how is it ultimately helping you? Well, I'll share a little bit about myself and why I'm so passionate about this. You'll learn a lot more as we go along. I, like a lot of you, used to feel stuck when making decisions. Um, for years, I relied on logic, outside advice, not saying any of this is bad, and what I thought I should do based on what would be acceptable to society and acceptable to other people. And guess what? Many times it left me unfulfilled, frustrated, and out of alignment. So, back in 2020, when I discovered human design, it began to feel like things were really clicking for me, things were really resonating for me. And I realized that I had been ignoring my natural design and ignoring how I naturally make decisions and trying to force myself into things that just weren't me. That was a moment that I started using my inner authority, and my life has shifted and is still shifting. And I want that for you too. So, you're going to learn about the different types, and they're actually likened to like machine types, and is what I call them, as well as your blueprint is actually your manual. So, when I learned my design type, which is manifesting generator, and you'll learn more about that really, really soon. But I also learned that my inner authority, which is my built in decision making guide, is an emotional authority. And when I read about emotional authority, it was me, is me. And it felt good to be seen and recognized. And I remember specifically going through the process of becoming a principal in an urban district where every time I went to go and interview, I never got the job. And one thing that I had to do in order to help me move on and move forward is to kind of sit with my emotions, my highs and my lows, sit with them. This is what works for me, may not work for you, until I reached a point of calm. So, as an emotional authority, you experience highs and lows when it comes time to making decisions. Sometimes it may feel like high levels of anxiety, it may feel like low levels of borderline depression. And once you move through these waves, now this is me, once you move through the waves of how you feel and you get to a sense of calm or balance, I also liken it to an ocean. And when the waves are really waving and they are really combative, that's kind of what that feels like. And then once they are, it's a gentle tide, that's kind of the lowness of it. But once it's just settled and calm, those are the better times for me to make decision. And that was just so eye opening for me to actually be aware that I should not make decisions when I'm at a high or a low, but I must wait until I'm at a calm. Now, there are other inner authorities that we'll get into. I know some of you on the call, or some of you listening to the podcast, you already have your blueprints, and some of you are sacral, which means you listen to your gut. Some of you are mental and emotional, which means that you are listening and waiting for the wave to calm down. And most of the people that I have actually worked with, talked to, coached, you sit in the area of being an emotional authority or a sacral authority, which means you listen to your body and your body tells you the uh-uhs and the uh-huhs. You'll learn more about that once we get into each one of these episodes as we go deeper. Now, I do want you to know, just as a disclaimer, this is a 20-minute podcast, 20 minutes or less. So, you owe it to yourself if you're not taking 20 minutes at least once a week just to care about you. You owe it to yourself to listen to the release and realign the R&R podcasts inside of our circle so that you can make sure that you focus on you and take care of you. Now, your first step is I do have a discover guide that will help you to tune into your inner authority. It is a simple, practical tool that will help you start tuning into your decision making superpower right away. And you can find it in a post where this is linked. If this episode resonates with you, please make sure that you check back on a weekly basis to see the other episodes so that you can learn more. And if you know someone who is always second guessing themselves or struggling to make decisions, share this podcast with them, share this group with them so they can come in and join as well. Now, if you would like to have access to your blueprint, I will also put a link where you can get your blueprint. And both of these are absolutely free. They're just for you to begin taking a look inside, honoring who you are, and making decisions that feel good to you. Thank you so much for coming and sitting a spell with me. Thank you for being here for the very first episode. I'm so excited to walk this journey with you. Remember, remember, the answers you're searching for are already They're already inside of you. Until next time, take a deep breath, trust yourself. You've got this. See you in the circle.